Kratos, the ghost of Sparta, son of Zeus and a mortal woman, defier of fate multiple times, hope incarnate, slayer of gods, scourge of Olympus. But could the great famed Kratos defeat Sun Wukong, great sage, to equal heaven? Mischief Monkey King himself, one if not the biggest inspiration of anime, original shonen protagonist, biggest inspiration across fiction, fought a writer cracked, build different protag, a divinity of mischief, deviousness, trickster, cunning, and cleverty, a pillar of power, a pillar of not only the most whoppy-do dynamic mysticism, mystical affinity and skills, in any sense of the way, is the ultimate definition of what it means to being I woke up and I decided I'ma do what I want by any means necessary. I don't give a fuck was a person. I deny any possibility of bondage, boundless hunt, boundless creativity, crazy ingenuity, a cracked fiend in every case of the way, the cosmic goofball personification of buffoonery, solidification of ultimate trickery of all different combatants, Sun Wukong, great sage to possibly be equal to heaven, the fighting Buddha, the man that went through countless different arrays of trials and error until he became a man worthy of nirvana. With that being said, this is not only a battle requested by the mission, technically a mix of a comment, but as well a battle that people have discussed for multiple countless times, not only ever arguably since Kratos really reached high-end status of not only a slayer of deities and seeing if he could slay the ultimate man that not only went pound for pound, band for band in the most craziness against deities, but as well having the argument for tick in all different displays, being as well a man that is on the same level as Sun Wukong, defying fate, pushing past any possible odds, a man that is too not only eager to fight on and never die, things along those lines. It's also the fact that if this man Kratos is actually going to be going around multiple pantheons slaying people, it probably won't be too hard to see maybe one day Santa Monica putting this man Kratos against their own version of the famed Monkey King, great sage to equal heaven. How long will that take? Probably until the fucking sun explodes. Regardless of that, I hope you guys will enjoy this bout. If you're new here, please leave a like, share, subscribe, comment. I really would appreciate it. Hit the bell icon down below. Really will help me out so you're notified every time I make a video. As well, I want to go ahead and say a big thank you to Tempest as well. Say a big thank you to Goji Chronic for not only different means of greater research into some different takes and different lore accolades. As well, want to say, as always, thank you to y'all for the support. And for the record, with this being said, we're going to be talking about not only Greek Kratos, Norse Kratos, everything to come with him. I've already talked about in big length about Kratos with my shameless plug, Hawk for his Kratos video. So go check that out if you wanted to see it in a more like compound together setting, even though pretty much everything about Kratos is going to be put on display here. And obviously we're talking about Sun Wukong of mainline journey to the west, Chinese myth, folklore, legend, mixed constitution, religion, all that jazz. Is going to get it in. Kratos, the son of Zeus, son of a mortal woman. 13 kilometers, it seemed like a different estimate outside of Sparta, but then came to Sparta. His mother was shunned because of the fact that she was the bear giver of not only the fortunate news that not only this village, but as well great deal possibly all of Greece will be changed because she was hailed the child of Zeus. This man Kratos is very similar to this man Hawk, and not only from a young age going through an unruly childhood, but as well having a life like never seen before. As he has went through the trauma of losing loved ones in front of his eyes, he has lost both his wives, one by his own hand and one to a fortunate sickness, has wrought against a thunder-cracking god and son of Odin with his Thors, and as well probably hates electricity like a motherfucker. As well, they're both vengeful, powerful, built different oceous brutes, tall as a tree, built different Goliaths. With that being said though, when it comes down to Kratos' greater mix of history, he obviously was raised up in Sparta. Life was cruel, unruly, but it made him be the most determined, ambitious, ruthless, merciless, and very built different case of young Vatos against any odds stacked against him. With that being said, Kratos, easily, as a form of being a Spartan warrior from a young age, was trained in all different arts of not only fighting, combat, and was a built different combatant across the board for multiple years. As obviously, as most of the Spartans, as I talked about with the case of Spartan customs, he was trained in stick fighting, spear fighting, adept in all different forms of not only weaponry, CQC, military tactics, submission holds, wrestling, boxing, form of different mix of like kickboxing and different street fighting tactics to use in multiple different depth ways. He's very strong, is very fierce, is very crazy, and is able to make any weapon given to him be utilized in any quick succession, which is why he's so good at jacking niggas for their weapons, being an absolute terror on the battlefield, becoming the youngest general ever seen in Sparta, amazing the Spartan king, living up to the legacy of great Leonidas on the battlefield. As a captain of the Spartan armies, ran countless waves of enemies until facing the barbarian king, where Kratos would call out to Ares and say, "Ares, destroy my enemies, and my life is yours," making him be a servant to the god of war and becoming a slave to him, and only until the fateful but as well unfaithful night of killing his own wife and daughter in the village of Athena would he realize the monster he truly became after slaughtering countless innocents in the name of the god of war. All of his enemies not only knew him as being a scourge of Sparta, but now with the ashen skin of his family tattooed to his skin, he now became the ghost of Sparta. He already had a sick-ass tattoo that he did in not only resemblance to his little brother Deimos that he went about going about trying to go and save, and unfortunately lost to Thanatos bitch ass, but was made in a red scar tattoo sense of the birthmark that his little brother Deimos had. He also had to kill his own mother from her literally being bewitched to not even speak that she was the caregiver of literally Zeus's child and could not speak of having his child or be turned into a monster like never seen before. This again had this man Kratos have to kill his own family for the big first time, and would have this man go down a drive of the most unfortunate, down bad, trodden type of means. He also had to kill one of his first allies, an Oracle, son of Ares and the Furies, and man just has been through so much unfortunate shit. Betrayed by his own father, had to kill his own soldiers, had to lose countless people, and the comfort of bad bitches could not quench his vengeance. It could not quench his memories and his past hauntings. Haunted by the visions and unfortunate curse of his past deeds, haunted by the screams of his wife and child as he slew them in front of him, and at the same time just the countless array of bad deeds that he's done. Countless servitude to the gods, and Athena and Zeus and others did not make a difference. The promise of the Olympians meant nothing, but it was all he had even. Because remember, this is the same man that stopped Persephone from tearing down the pillar of order that gave life to the entire case of not only the Greek pantheon, but was the way of life for just existence at this time, and had to leave his daughter Calliope in the field of Elysium, even though he promised never to leave her again. Fortunate things. With the comes of like actual power scaling and actual, merits of different aptitude and accolades, he has defeated countless, not only Greek legends, Greek gods, demigod level echelon of beings, but as well stood test to test against multiple wicked creatures, has defeated the Persian king, has stood the test of time of being a built different regard of not only arsenal dude, but as well person that can tap into multiple different array of ridiculous maneuvers and different combat prowess with different weapons. He was cursed with the blades of chaos, his most trusty weapons that have arguably at the point of the Norse saga been seen to be better weapons than ever seen before. But there's a lot of arguments for peak God of War 3 Kratos, which is where we tap into another argument, being in this sense that I properly believe that Greek saga Kratos has every reason to be stronger than Norse Kratos, not only because he has more weapons, he has more of the power of hope, he has a lot more crazy shit, and there's a lot more just narrative, I feel like, dissonance between both that show him to be greater, especially depending on how you perceive the arguments for a lot of what Kratos says about the Norse saga, and just the fact that, Kratos has showcased multiple times that even though he's not weaker so much to say, He's just not as like cracked as his younger self used to be, at least base wise in general. Don't get it twisted. I think there's a lot of arguments that you could say in a greater overarching version that Kratos maybe pit for pit could be stronger, as again I reference my God of War power scaling tier list, but I think base wise younger Kratos is better. He obviously has the Blades of Chaos from Primordial Fire, literally made in the deepest part of Tartarus, made in the vile pits of the furnace of Hades, made by the great smith god Hephaestus. These blades were literally complemented by the brothers that made Mjolnir and the Leviathan Axe, two weapons that are able to shake all the 9 realms, have ties to be able to splinter Yggdrasil, and be crazy colossal weapons like never seen before, and match up against incredible odds, and somewhat be able to be stronger and better than different odds and collision force that others in comparison could not. So with that being said, I believe in every case of the way that there's reasonableness to fully say that this man Kratos, because of having blades by the word of Athena and being made to be way more better in comparison, the Blades of Chaos in general, are just so much higher octane capable. So that's why, starting off in this conversation, we're going to start off with God of War Norse Saga version of Kratos, old Kratos, Unc Kratos, before we talk about his Greek Saga part. When it comes down to the Norse pantheon, he multiple times would not only scale to the same accolades as his beloved wife, Laufey, the greatest of the Jotunar, mother to Atreus, right, his greatest love, and will be standing to Balder, will be standing to the sons of Thor, vanquished dragons, scale very much highly, and has multiple different echelon of feats, not only in God of War 4, but as well multiple things beyond that shows him to be ridiculously on the scale for some very much like built different Vatos. I mean, this man Balder, even though a lot of context was involved, was able to knock out Jormungandr when he couldn't, obviously fight, because obviously he had, Atreus and this man Kratos inside of him. He also didn't know where he was, which somewhat should scale under the mixed merit of, Thor fighting Jormungandr, which again shook all the 9 realms, splintered Yggdrasil, which is a body that holds a multiverse, which is easily like 5D, push it, maybe even fucking 6D stretch talk and like power scaling, very much crazy, and just multiple times over has a stack to the greatest odds. He defeated the Valkyrie Queen, who is easily like mixed bag second to third to Freya at this known point, even with Gná in question. This man is just a built different dude. In Ragnarok, he shows multiple times to scale very much up front against multiple people, helped in the defeat of Gná, with Freya. He defeated Niflhogg with Freya. He defeated Heimdall with obviously the help of Draupnir, which I'm going to type into, the weapons and what he can greater do. But, stood to Thor. Everything I show on screen is just a demonstration for how crazy built different this nigga Kratos is. When it comes down to the Leviathan Axe, it obviously produces cold, more cold than anything else. It was ingrained with over 1,000 souls of Helheim, the coldest realm in all the 9 realms. It is ridiculous, in magnitude. The Leviathan Axe obviously scales to Mjolnir. It's very crazy. It's ambidextrous. It always returns back to Kratos' hand when he opens up his hand. It's very versatile. It's arguably way more better than even Mjolnir in some aspects of just bang for bang efficiency, and it's very much a weapon that collaterally, different correspondence of different things, is able to make the most greatest not only impact, but multiple case of collateral instinctual built differentness. The Blades of Chaos, again, have always been shown to be his one, if not is the most crazily wicked weapons in this visual showcasing, with being very versatile, having multiple array of capabilities to do things. It has literally primordial fire in it. They were blessed most likely by Surtur in the case of them literally being fueled to the hottest core, and with the Blades of Chaos allows this man Kratos to be beyond most niggas' comprehension. Kratos is that nigga. If anybody stands to Kratos with these blades, they is feeling the sting like no other. They are unbreakable. They are cursed to follow this man Kratos until death, and their weapons like no other. Draupnir's spear was made for Heimdall to disorientate and as well, obviously, distort his mind, but Draupnir is infinite. He can create an infinite size amount of these spears. The spears are able to cause wind manipulation, able to blow up on an infinite regard. they're very unique. He's very skilled with the spear. He has the shield of Fae that is pretty much with a new upgrade, unbreakable. It's able to shift and turn into multiple different things to help Kratos with more durability. Spark fire, chain connect with the spear and blades of chaos. It is very good. It's very protective. He uses it akin to like Captain America with vibranium shield pretty much radiating over all of it. And Kratos multiple times, again, in comparison to multiple scales with characters, is very much a resistant person. He's resourceful, a rack of all trades. The dude is built different across the board. Any person that comes against him, he's able to not only adapt to and best, but to showcase ridiculous strength. Not only physical regard against Thor, physical regard against multiple different people of very much the same strength like Balder, to maybe mix, low-end stand. He's been able to kill multiple famed people across the Norse pantheon, and even stood to Odin in a jumping with Freya and his own son. I would say that easily Kratos by this point is easily of the reasonable record form to be at low end, a low multiversal, right? Or reasonably pushing to the low complex multiversal stretch, mid, depending on how you perceive. There's some people who think because of how you show is set up and the shaking, the splintering, all these other correspondence and shit that could push him to boundless, aka possibly outer versal record form. But not only do I feel like this is not very much concrete, consistent, but most people and multiple times consecutively across multiple other layers of not only the pantheon and every construction does not really make sense for it. And there's every, I feel like, reasonable argument to reasonably proclaim that in this sense, doing a lot of these things only affect a little small body of it, and it's not the same as a greater array of niggas, or even like someone like this man Ragnarok, who's actually a threat to the entire case of, the Earth tree that shook it to its very roots. It's also not the same thing as being literally conceptually the whole being, even though obviously Ymir was defeated by obviously Odin. Kratos scales over in case of, Ymir. And, multiple tales and vision of obviously, evolving reconstruction of the 9 realms would succeed in reasonably declaring that. So, in conclusion, I feel like this is reasonably where Kratos would stand consistently with his character, with everything to be said. In speed department, though, he reasonably, because of just upscaling and shit that I'm going to be talking about in Greek saga in comparison, and just shit that's shown in this with characters that easily have, multiple facets and might approachable, speed, of multiple different height and stature, of being people that are people not to be trifled with in multiple occasions. This to me would suffice to say very much conclude these characters being reasonably standing between lowest end, massively faster than light, reasonably inaccessible as people that do not seem to be bothered by time or any infliction of that, but immeasurable was very much a concrete way to establish his speed, as not only is Kratos able to react to a guy that's messing with time and Heimdall, but is able to punch through rifts, punch through portals, stand to people that are able to shake multiple ridiculous bodies and stances in time, and as well are able to exist between a plane of not only reality and different spatial talks and conceptions on multiple fronts of like on the screen right now that go into detail on how reasonably immeasurable is pretty persistent with not only him but other people, as obviously I've talked about Thor, Freya, reasonably Heimdall, other characters that should scale to this speed, and this would be consistent with Greek Kratos, which is now where we tap into the famed original Ghost of Sparta, the original D1 menace of them all. So when it comes down to the Greek saga, he not only would scale to multiple different applicable people of different radical speed, as he's able to catch up and even put the fucking beats on Hermes, regardless of being injured or not, scale to him, hold him off, catch him mid-drop kick to rock his shit against the floor like he's Hagar. And this man Hermes is said to be beyond infinity. He's able to react and be the only guy to more indirectly dodge and not just react to the speed of Helios, which is able to fill an entire infinite universe in or case of underworld in the sense of Tartarus, which is said to be infinite and not finite like Helheim, making it infinite speed, but even can arguably give additional speed arguments because Hermes and a bunch of other people have the mixed claim of Azrael being way more faster than other characters that are said to be able not only to push beyond infinity and not to be affected by time not even being of the essence, aka being able to exist in, without fine time like spaces, aka additional credit of people that Kratos arguably, scale way more higher than, even not at God of War 3 in comparison, and makes different stance. Someone like Thanatos, other record different people across the board, scale to Zeus in God of War 2, obviously banging out with Hercules, who is a big ass foe kin to this man Hulk, that this man Hulk is also banged out with in his own version of Hercules, right? Would reasonably make him inaccessible, and this is a bigger thing because even though some people like to say that he doesn't somehow, it's dumb as shit. Kratos scales to the primordials, aka beings that existed when time wasn't a thing. They fought in a place where time didn't even exist, and as well with just facing someone like Zeus and scaling over a titan that literally is a time titan to even god deity like no other, in a matter of Kronos, who literally pure birth created time conceptually, and be over a bunch of other people of that same record and echelon, would concisely, I feel like most definitively conclude reasonably that these niggas are reasonably reaching from not only inaccessible but to immeasurable, especially when we talk about the fact that Zeus being just top dog of the Olympians over scale almost every realm of purpose, not only for conversation and the talk of like who can scale to pit for pit, bang for bang, ball for ball, layers of these different concepts, scales over the Furies, scales over the Sisters of Fate, even with their time manipulation, and there's just multiple characters across the board, not even just if we're talking about Greek, but I would reasonably say with Norse, that can conclude that Kratos within God of War 3 is easily of that speed. From defeating multiple different great odds and people and amps across all the Greek saga, he would reasonably be one of the most tremendous built different powerhouses, including how he even got his power to even kill a god before, was opening Pandora's box and Pandora's temple, which opened not only the greatest weapon, the weapon to kill a god, hope, but also unleashed the vile, devilish, disastrous, unwavering, and unrelenting, force of evil that is fear incarnate, that corrupted the gods upon Olympus and scoured over them and made them literally by just existing turn into the most negative, fueled by fear and horrid regard type of beings in existence. He was able to not only defeat Hercules, as I said before, he defeated Hades, he defeated Poseidon, he defeated multiple record flame-bearing people, he clapped Aphrodite's cheeks, he killed Hephaestus, he was able to perfect against the Sisters of Fate, like I said, he was able to fight against the Furies, he killed Thanatos, he killed multiple other regarded people, legends, monsters, became a literal force to be reckoned with across Greece. And therefore, by greater stance talk, my man as well wields the Blade of Olympus, made by Zeus, that not only is one, if not the most powerful weapon in the Greek saga, even arguably all of God of War, where he was able to wipe niggas off the senses, wipe multiple cases of titans off the face of the earth, run them out of existence with conceptual erasure, is very built different as a form of colossal weapon, was made by Zeus himself, and is a great demonstration of what it means to be OP with just a blade. The Blade of Olympus is one of the not most built different weapons I have seen, but is a weapon that is akin to the fucking gauntlet of God of War. It's a built different weapon, and this man Kratos with it is a force to be reckoned with. Not only can he conceptually raise people, he absorbs godly power shown with Zeus and God of War 2. It allows him to utilize electricity, fuels greater power. He has the Typhoon of Poseidon. He has a net thing with him where he's able to, with the different crystal shard, build to time skip around time. He has, obviously different hacks and versatility that go beyond that with his weapons, like the Claws of Hades, that allows him to not only take somebody's soul in the tug of war, the Nemean cestus that were granted to Hercules after defeating the Nemean lion. He has the Blades of Exile, like I said, but with his magic allows him to summon Spartans and the Phalanx. With Hades' blades, he can summon all different type of dark souls and do infinite pools of different crazy shit. He has the bow of Apollo. That's obviously the bow of Apollo that creates a great mix of the not only, you know, the most craziest fires, but as well is so fast and ridiculously versatile in its hail of the most blue shit like level of speeds that in just being from Apollo easily reckons of the sun's light. Because again, Apollo, even though is not a full-fledged sun god, he does tie his musical instruments and as well different forms of archery to the sun. He also has the head of Helios, as I said, which does, you know, give him a great record hold of disorientation and light speed capabilities. He has the electric blades of Hephaestus, and with this allows him to do all type of spontaneous, crazy, wild form of shit, and equal to electricity of Zeus, it even seems. He's just very built different and can fly from, you know, the wings of Icarus. I mean, this man, Greek saga Kratos, is just ridiculous. He's a whoppy-doo, wild proportions of an individual, and there's no denying that Kratos in the Greek saga is one of the most audaciously powerful individuals, not only in the case of the Greek saga easily, but of all of God of War. With all this being said, I think you could easily say Kratos is easily pushing from reason being stronger than not only his Norse self and multiple people upon the talk of the Norse saga part of God of War, would scale reasonably in the scuff of reasonably being a from low complex multiversal dude to mid, and I feel like there would be a really need for hard stretch to say he's outerversal in Greek saga as well, because again, unlike comparison to Norse, even though again I do think he's stronger for a multitude of reasons besides just the weapons being younger. It's not entirely a full-fledged argument because multiple cases we know Greek gods and mixed Norse gods are stronger than their younger selves for multiple cases of reasons, but just him having a better uphold of not only feats, crazy bullshit, and can full bulletin board niggas with all his different weapons and scour the case of the entire fucking fight with the most radically built different hurl of K abilities, but he could also just fire bulletin board niggas with the bow of Apollo or drop near spear the same. It's just the fact that all his weaponry corresponding with the things that he scales to is a lot more higher. Outerversal really come if you think that he's like beyond all aspect of like time and space and different construction and configurement of shit, which then some people even try to say that like Greek Kratos is a full new level of not only speed that is a very iffy thing, because outerversal is a very shaky term to entirely define niggas as, and I know I've reasonably said that you could get Hulk to those levels, even though I feel like that's a lot more concrete, especially with all the Marvel cosmology that I'm going to tap into. But the fact is that saying that this man Kratos is outerversal would then possibly speak to the possibility by the proxy of speed, by just existing beyond another person, then by chain scaling make everybody else that, and even possibly get him to this man to like fucking irrelevant speed and just pulling more, I feel like, different like wild mental gymnastics for argumentation. But he easily, again, is pretty high end in the complex multiversal talk. Stone Monkey, Sun Wukong, biggest inspiration arguably in different boards of fiction, has not only stayed the test of time as being the most infamous, iconic, and beloved character across multiple boards of fiction, probably easily stands the most notorious wildcat in all of myth, not only in the tales of Chinese mythology, but in all different outskirts of Asia's myths, folklore, legend, religion to mix be said, and probably all across all different arguments of mythos, even just on the general bare minimum fiction. He is one of the most elite, claimed, and grade A built different vatos across multiple boards, and is stamped in high renown as being a god that easily could be considered the most cracked OP protagonist of all time. Original shonen, original crash out, original Blacker Force energy, beast, a menace of all different wicked proportions, uncanny, clever, mischief, and most deceitful, intricate, ingenuity, built different, individual, and stands as a testament to what it means to be the personification of I woke up and I decided to dabble in all different escapades. The handsome, dazzling, great sage to equal heaven, or to even different account be beyond heaven, is indeed not an understatement. It is indeed a very much rep of every aspect of what he is in every aspect of everything. But what is a true understatement is being fucking OP, a living demigod without even having the title. As Sun Wukong woke up, right, as a being with the possession of high divinity, holy power. And this all is in mixed reception from the case of the Queen and Great Imperial Mother of Heaven in Noir, wifey a different account to the Jade Emperor. Sun Wukong came into existence being smarter, stronger, faster, more capable, more knowledgeable than any other monkey on his mountain of Mount Hogwa, aka the Flower Fruit Mountain or Flower Peach Mountain. Sun Wukong was hungry to show the world what a true, built different legend could be. He wanted to have his legacy be renowned beyond his even station of existence. He wanted his name to be known beyond mortals, beyond gods, beyond monsters. He wanted in his journey to be the most highest esteemed individual like never seen before. And Sun Wukong delivered in so many aspects that it is undeniably that he was the most unparalleled warrior of mysticism, sorcery, and combat in his verse and multiple outskirts. He has every reason to be considered to be easily the most powerful motherfucker to mix lay dormant in myth. Is a top dog for multiple reasons, as not only in his statement for being beyond heaven is very much accurate, as he not only faced down the imperial army of heaven by himself, showcasing all his capabilities off to not only bang out with them all at the same time and having a laugh, but defeated and outscaled multiple times in different contingent, the case of their famed imperial general, along Shin, the sage, sacred divinity of war, the hound of heaven, a built different warrior and arguably has an argument to be the strongest god of war in all of myth, in different tales of even fiction. And with this being said, this guy had the capability to do this, all because of him journeying out to gain all different type of not only capabilities to be built different, as he learned all different type of form of mixed martial arts to be a built different colossal powerhouse to dominate through all different boards of not only fiction and multiple forms of not only his form of not only world to be talked about in the case for his different talks of scaling with all these different chakras, chi, and different tales of mysticism and sorcery applied to him, as not only in multiple occasions did he best all the different odds and different form of different perceived very much limited things in the case of his world, like rocking with multiple forms of different very famed people like Naja, Prince of Heaven, Prince of Fire, was able to surprise and put the literal fucking scare of not only a god in the case of literal sea gods and sea guardians, and like Ao Kuang and his brothers with taking one of their pillars, the iconic Ryuj Bing, aka the great magical forever extending cudgel. And so with Sun Wukong taking this very prized, intricate, very famed weapon, he became an unstoppable force like never seen before. And so with him going about taking this weapon, he would also go about different journeying and showcasing his strength, as he not only lifted up something that can never be lifted in this cudgel, but then used it in ways like never seen before. What this cudgel allows to extend as long as a mountain and unquantifiable extent, he can also extend it to extents that go as long as he is willing to shapeshift, as he can shapeshift from learning multiple different forms of transformations and shapeshifting, as he learns 72 transformations that are also tied with infinite different poor transformations that allow him to shapeshift into anything that he could think of, shapeshift to any person, utilize any of their capabilities, fly. He can also teleport. He can teleport way beyond just a convictional spiritual sense. He can also teleport to different alternate planes of life. He can perceive different things in a way higher stand, with not only having, it seems like, different hyper cognition with different fighting boasts. He can face off the greatest odds imaginable. He's a built different of prowess, accolades, and capabilities. He is also a very much unprecedented, unparalleled whack of all trades in every case of the way with what he does things, as literally and figuratively rack of trades or whack of trades. He can bang out with people with these capabilities like never seen. He's also able to clone himself He is able to extend as far as his eye can see with his clones, duplicate them just to be as strong, grow way more immensely stronger, shape-shift into different people, while as well cloning himself and fighting a literal heavenly army that grows to sizes and are literally immortal and are unquantifiable in size, and face them all off technically by himself with all these capabilities. He's able to out-shape-shift, go band for band in different outings and bouts against all Long Shin. Have scaling multiple times said to be beyond a planet or be beyond a case of an infinite size stand, as heaven is infinite and multiple gods would transcend it as being beings that within fighting Sun Wukong and or just fighting him, in heaven itself, being able to bring almost heaven to its knees. So this is multiple times putting Sun Wukong bare minimum universal level to multiple times you could say massively hypersonic to multiple times pushing the speed of light and being beyond that and just being more and more cracked. Now, when he stepped onto Buddha's hand and he jumped to, he said, the edge of the universe, that would put him easily multiple times the case of either massively faster than light or with the edge of the universe being to the pillar of one of this man Buddha's hands, being literally an infinite speed like feat, putting this man Sun Wukong multiple times innumerably in that staple for being a man that is never to be trifled with when it comes down to different speed accolades and showcasings. As again, he showed out that he was ridiculous. As this man Sun Wukong scaling above the mixed perception of multiple gods to do this would be putting him, again, very much consistently above what they could even quantify in these different conversations. But someone like this man, Sun Wukong, would scale a lot more higher numerous times because of different ascensions, concepts, and different pedigree for being pretty much an absolute built different bravado and accolade individual multiple times numerously. And on his journey to the west, being permitted to be the guardian of Tripitaka alongside Oolong, Sandy, and obviously getting his iconic crown given to him by being a literal tentacle prisoner, and the crown being a thing to nerf his mind and tame his untamed spirit. He still would grow in the most ridiculous matter of power with this, and everything with the crown or not should succumb him as being absolutely built different. Sun Wukong, from this being said, would ascend to multiple heights in different besting of different foes that he met either on the case of his travel, the journey to the west, more predominantly, or even before. At the Bull Demon King, the case of the Queen of Bones, multiple other outings and different accounting of people that he has faced, with the fact that he is over different conceptions of life, Taoism, dualism, and multiple form of talks that talk about the different cases of spiritual ties of life in existence, and multiple things shown on screen that demonstrate him to be a guy that scales numerous times over different concepts of life and death. He has grown to immortal bounds by literally erasing his name from the Book of the Dead, eating immortal peaches, drinking immortal wine and elixirs, going to different bounds of immortality never seen, literally meditating and mending his body in a literal fucking jar, a whole freaking vase built to basically be heaven's ultimate solar, pretty much incineration of one's being and having them be disposed of from life and death entirely. Multiple times scaling above this, he would eventually, through redemption and re-enlightenment, trial and error, and making reconnaissance of his soul, would achieve what we call nirvana, as he would reach multiple talks of different spiritual enlightenment and different religious tales of being able to scale to beyond the wheel of life astronomically in multiple hells, hold in its scale to being a literal full-fledged case of student of the great famed Buddha, aka the omnipotent God in some people's words, but in truth, he does not scale to the famed Buddha. At the end of the day, in reaching nirvana and reaching to a higher enlightenment of heavenly stand, he would be simply a herald or apprentice to his power as a form of, again, fighting Buddha and a warrior reaching Buddhahood of the highest valor, the highest profound hailing. But don't get it twisted. He very much still scales very ridiculously. And everything I've said and everything I've presented on screen should put him in the bars for multiple times being seen to be a multiple times case of multiversal, from low end complex multiversal to reasonably hyperversal, from all the different tales of the dimensions and different scalings that he scaled above of, and as well talk of him just transcending these things numerous times should put him on the level to be seen in different accounting in different outings to be ridiculously beyond the capability of different shaping of dimensions, spiritual enlightenment, and other tales of the different case of the cosmology of Buddhism and Chinese myth like never seen before. Now, there's very much strongness from being the case of a outerversal person, is from being in nirvana, is outdoing all different concepts of life, death, kurobaten, kurobakwa, and different aspects of religion and tales of that sort so hyperly that he would be scaling to a pretty much almost omniscient, beyond comprehension of mortals and even the gods of heaven that scale beyond all different aspects of life and death by themselves. So even before even getting to these greater heights and him being a god that pretty much just no-sells all of heaven, he should be by himself beyond anything of what heaven can produce, meaning all these different talks of dimensional scaling. Meaning that because he scales over all different figments of dimensions, knowing different atmospheres of life and all these different things, he would scale numerous times above the most known atmosphere of dimensions and transcendences, which would make him easily dozens of times outerversal and literally transcends almost any argument for infinite dimensions akin to Hulk, like I talked about against Kratos. Now, if it isn't obvious, Sun Wukong absolutely on a dimensional, spiritual, physical output of different not only crazed capabilities and accolades outdoes him. He has so many different uses of mysticism, so many techniques, skills, accolades, and showcasings by every person I put in comparison, tick for tick against him. That should absolutely solidify him as being beyond the comprehension of anybody you could think of in comparison with God of War and Mention, as not only Sun Wukong scales beyond them and all different outskirts of different talk of not only pound for pound, bang for bang, outing in comparison and fighting, but simply put, would just be on a whole different pillar of power, tremendous strength, and a whole different fling of different valorant accolades and hail like never seen before. Not only, again, should he outscale him in the AP perspective, but by speed, because of him scaling beyond these different talks of dimensionality. He already fights in the plane, heaven, and other talks that are said to not have any absence of, not only mortal dimensionality in different confines of what makes, mortal plane of existence come up. It is beyond mortal reality and other figments of existence, so you could bare minimum say that it is reasonably to be seen to be beyond time and space and other things that are tied to finite, confined to a general plane of existence. And numerous talk of tales of concepts and different beliefs of this and this talk scaling over an afterlife, like in heaven, where in heaven there seems to be no actual firm entirely consistency to entirely not say that is reasonable because of already scaling multiple times faster than light and going beyond the edge of the universe and beyond, that he would easily scale to infinite, to being beyond time or being able to exist in a plane like heaven, to say in comparison that he exists in a plane entirely discarding of time into people that can exist in a plane, again, dissolved of time, and time doesn't seem to be of any possible nuisance or anything of that sort to these gods, would put them not just inaccessible but immeasurable pretty casually. As again, heaven has multiple talks about being a plane of existence entirely, of no relevance to time, and entirely in every aspect has no essence or presence of time and matter. Buddha transcends time and knows that in her herald and or acceptance of him, get the closure of these blessings and grace and all these other dimensionalities, will put Sun Wukong numerous times above immeasurable speed to reasonably irrelevant, as he's beyond all different dimensionalities and figments of that. And the type of speed he would have is something that undeniably is just not even quantifiable, it's not even conceivable. So Sun Wukong should scale very aimlessly to those extents on a very bonkers degree, right? So he would speed blitz Kratos, and it wouldn't even be funny. There's also just a way, even if you wanted to equal the stats, Sun Wukong has so many more greater techniques to stop this man Kratos in place with spiritual different conundrums He obviously can clone himself, duplicate him way beyond any possible clones or summonings of Kratos. He has multiple ways to block, tamper, and pretty much hypercognitively see around him. He was the original man with Ultra Instinct, peer through his different capabilities, penetrate through his defense and offense. He can shapeshift, grow to ridiculous size, grow his magical cudgel to the most ridiculous form. He can fly with a somersault cloud, gross and different power scope. He can literally shapeshift and replica Kratos. He's able to do different, not only mystical and different dabbles in the most crazy, uncanny sorcery to tamper with the mind, different stuff. There's also, because of the fact of his, ascension, he would scale easily de facto as a guy that through different esoterical means, which I feel is kind of like a little bit of kind of a dubious thing that talks more about religious cosmology. And since we're trying to integrate, verses and the mixed confines and the mixed discussion to be said about two different beings, the argument of this man, Sun Wukong scaling on multiple hyper greater merits of not only religious, moral, virtuous, hyper greater standing of beyond the different stance of discord, chaos, and insanity that this man Kratos has plunged into in multiple bouts is a very mixed, depending on your perceived subjective mixed take term, but depending on how you use the different confines of morality and a wheel of different assertion of shit that I've kind of talked about with a friend of mine in discussion of Sun Wukong versus Doom God. Let me know if you want me to do that video, and I feel like I've already, full solidified my point with all of this, that Sun Wukong easily has the argument for esoterical, hyper-distinctual takes of belief, should transcend Kratos on multiple spiritual nepotism, and he could do soul hacks through higher soul reality, higher fate and conceptual existence. He's on a whole nother level of dimensionality and physical power even, so he can literally entrap Kratos to a God of War Valhalla level of therapy session, sneer his soul, literally battlefield remove him through the matter of foul, soul arguable arguments and everything else. And I hope I've made it clear about this entire big yap fest that's going to be a lot to very much untangle I'm taking, and it would take a lot of not only great research and all these different tales of not only about Taoism, Yin Yang, all these other things, and build different strength and things of this sort to very much conclude the argument for undoubtedly and unprecedentedly for Sun Wukong to be stronger than anything that Kratos has been, shown to do. But even if you try to do some different wankish talk with Kratos without it being equal stats or equal stats, Sun Wukong should just be 1,000 times way beyond him, and he'll be trolling him the whole time, doing all different type of rage baits and being like, monkey see, monkey do, they Sun Wukong just make a fool of you. Simple as that. Wukong wins. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope you guys are educated. I hope the guy that attended the request of this is happy. I know I'm probably going to have a lot of different mixed discourse, but if you disagree with anything that I say here, as always, I'm always willing to debate. Please hit me up on Discord, RPKing3124. If you're new here, please leave a like, share, subscribe, comment. Please tell me if you disagree in the comment section down below, regardless of if you're indifferent or whatever the case may be. Let me know what other matchups you'd like to possibly see in the comment section down below. Hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I make a video. And yeah, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Stay safe.